I'm very tired. Isn't it a lot of times tonight? But one is true. One, I'll work on stuff. Yeah. Oh, I'm just kidding. What's weird about it?
Bro, it's fine. She's having a whole.
Chill. I'm not doing anything just yet.
Fucking bio! Look at my bio!
Oh my god.
Does this bring me to my stream? Did it bring me to the stream? No, it's an old one. Fuck. Well, that's embarrassing. I can't tell anyone that.
I'm gonna.
There's someone too that I'm like not a perfectionist. Okay. Uh, is there anyone here? Let's see. Okay, I am streaming. Everything seems to be going well. Everything's set up. We'll see if anyone joins. Hasn't been anyone just yet. We'll check. Stream is going to start in 5 minutes. Or probably less, honestly. Oh, don't worry about it. LMAO. It's my LOL. Okay. So, what are we doing today? What exactly are we doing today? Today is going to be a fun day of streaming because I will be working primarily on the fuck was that? Hello. Okay, so I want someone to join because I got some fun, really funny shit to talk about today. I mean, not funny, but like comedic enough to where it's like a story time that's actually interesting. And it's like if you are a kid and you don't have a job just yet, it will get you pumped to be a kid again. Because honestly, I kind of miss some aspects of being a child. I will say being an adult is nice because I don't have to live by my parents' morality, right? But it also kind of sucks because like you're responsible for every single thing that happens in society ever. Like you are cleanly responsible for everything, right? So that part kind of sucks. But hopefully, someone will join. I hope. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, we are going to do a little bit of quick poses because we always do quick poses to start the day. I am going to do about 10 minutes of quick poses. What the fuck did I just do? What? Well, that's not great. I did not expect to do that. Oh man, we are starting off the stream right. I've had a pretty not great day today, honestly. Not like awful, just kind of like I'm in a kind of a slump right now, and I'm like taking time away from work to do this. And it's like, okay, where's Clip Studio Paint? You see, I don't know if you guys can hear that ding in the background, but that ding is like work calling me and beckoning me to actually pay attention. Yep. I have a funny, not really funny, but like a story time, kinda. But let's see how many people are actually viewing this stream. What the fuck was this? No, I just removed my stream thing. Am I still streaming? I'm not streaming. Am I still streaming? No. No. Oh, I am still streaming, I think. Okay, okay, cool. So it seems like there's one person watching. Please tell me that you're watching. I'll keep actually, you know what? I'll probably just keep this here. Because like I'm trying to figure out my this is my second, well, third time streaming. So, yep. Anyway, so today we're going to be working on the same femme fatales. And we're going to be starting off with quick poses. Just doing a couple of short poses if I can get myself oriented correctly. Now, usually the first couple of drawings that you start out with are pretty shit. So, um, yeah. Well, let me just, lower your expectations. Not to zero. Like, you should expect something decent. But, you know, don't be too hard. So, yeah, today's been kind of a shitty day so far. I mean, not shitty shitty, but, like, just not the best. And I'm sure you guys have had those kind of days where you just don't want to get out of bed or you feel very tired. And I've noticed something about my own, I don't know if it's like my personality or what it is, but like I have a very, like, I don't know if it's bipolar, like there's this sense of you can never be too happy or to feel too good. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain amount of goodness you can feel every week. If that makes any sense? And it always balances out. Like if I feel good one day, I'll feel like shit the next day, right? Now that's an oversimplification. That see, this is what you don't want to do. You see how like that comports the body? Yeah, that's terrible. It's kind of a weird tangent. Let me just try to make this arm look like something. But yeah. But anyway, like I was saying, it's just kind of I've had I don't want to say a rough day, but just a very busy and hectic day. And I am low-key mentoring this new hire, which is weird because she's like my age, but I've been here for 3 years. And in fact, she's slightly older than me. So it's like weird actually mentoring someone that's older than me by a little bit. But yeah, that's what's going on there. And we just had a lot to do today. I already did this pose, so I'm not going to do it again. And it's just been kind of like hectic because of that. And deadlines are getting faster and more difficult to keep up with. So that's also not fun. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Someone said no. You see, the problem with these chats is that I feel like they come by really, really late. So by the time, I mean, it's just my ADHD, quote unquote, but like, um, by the time I'm like actually, I've changed subjects by the time I actually see the comment, right? But yeah, the goal here is to, like I said, just to warm up. This is just getting a good feel of the poses and a good feel of gesture and whatnot. So don't, this is not meant to be well done. It's not meant to be very clean. There's some people who can draw straight up just super clean, like Kim Jong Gi, not G, Kim Gi. He sadly passed, and he was probably one of my bigger inspirations when it came to art because like I had never seen anyone like when I first learned how to draw, right? For me, I was like, okay, everyone has to do a sketch, right? Like it's just you can't run away from a sketch. Like my at this point in time, the best artist that I had ever seen was my partner, right? And she's still a phenomenal artist, right? But you know, like this guy was insane. He could draw straight from his imagination and make it look absolutely beautiful. And even though anatomy wasn't perfect, I mean, it's hard to do perfect anatomy when you're drawing without a construction lines, right? You're not really thinking about forms and masses. But he was absolutely phenomenal. Just such a brilliant, brilliant guy. Yeah. Apparently, there's a delay in my stream. Yeah, I know. I know there's a delay in my stream. Yeah. it is what it is. Maybe it's my internet connection is not very good or something. But I'm keeping an eye on the chat, so please talk a lot. I will tell you right now, there is no other feeling that compares. Okay, maybe there are a couple feelings that compare, but like, it feels really good to read y'all's comments. It's like they're still really really funny. But yeah, today was not that great. Just kind of a lot of work, and I didn't really feel like doing any of it. But I'm happy. Like I really had to drag myself to kind of stream, um, But I am really happy I'm doing. Like now that I'm doing it, it feels good. It's not like lifting weights. Like you can dread lifting weights, but when you actually get in the flow of it, and streaming is like not hard to get in the flow of. I feel because it's like it's just me sitting here and talking. What I would usually do if I was by myself. So it doesn't feel that bad, like at all, to me. Today we're going to be talking. We're going to be doing a couple of things. So before we actually hop into the character design, we're going to be doing a nice bit of drawing feet. Because I need to review my feet just a little bit. Drawing feet and drawing hands, and kind of get an idea of how to not just do that. I think I set it for 2 minutes. 90 seconds would have been better. Oh, this is a fun pose. So I love poses like this that just look fucking iconic. So the funny thing is that I was talking to a friend of mine, and they actually want to get better at drawing, right? And they saw some of my artwork, and it's not like I'm amazing or anything, but I'm a little more developed because I spent more time learning art than they have, right? And it was interesting because one of the things they asked me was like, how did I get better at shape design and stylized art, right? And I remember there's this guy named Polygon. He's a 3D sculptor, and he was talking about like this myth, right? That you need to learn how to draw realistically before you can learn how to draw stylized, right? And he calls it a myth. A lot of people disagree. In fact, I would say a good amount of artists really disagree with that. In fact, I hear it quite often, like, oh, you need to learn how to draw realistically so you can, learn how to exaggerate correctly and where to exaggerate. And like, don't get me wrong, I think learning how to draw realistically can really improve your sense of anatomy and learning how to draw well, right? That being said, he mentioned that you don't need to be able to draw realistically or be able to have realistic proportions to be able to draw stylized work really well, right? You just need to draw stylized work. And I think that's I agree a lot there. Like, I think sometimes as not just artists, but as people, we can get really caught up in instrumental actions. That's I guess, the technical term, but like actions that aren't what we want to do, but like are supposed to lead us to what we want to do, quote unquote. Right? And I I feel we did this yesterday, so I'm gonna skip it. But you know, I guess my whole life I've always thought, okay, well, that's what you need to do, right? To get somewhere. I mean, your whole life is probably like this, right? To make money, you need a job, right? To get a good job, you need education. To get good education, you need to go through all this time in school, right? And don't get me wrong, that's true. Like, it is. There's some parts of your life that are just you can't really avoid, right? But I feel like if you're learning to draw, right, and get better at it, it is a privilege to be able to do art in general, right? Like, it is not something. It's something that most people not only dream of doing, but it is like a really amazing thing that you get to be able to be good at, right? And I think, you should try to treat drawing a lot like at least the way I try to treat drawing, not maybe not you should, but the way I think about it is more from the perspective of not only I get to do this, but I get to relax doing this, right? Like it's still relaxing. And even if I'm not technically doing client work or anything, client work is another thing because that is instrumental. You're doing it for money, right? Like everything you do for money is technically instrumental, right? Even if you're enjoying it. But at the same time, oh, that gal is here. Hey, what's up? Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I remember you asked me if I was streaming often, and hopefully I can stream more often. In fact, like I said earlier, I was like, I don't know if I want to stream today because I was just not having that great of a day. And now that I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, this shit is fun. This is a lot of fun. But yeah, I forget what I was talking about. Okay, I didn't get the whole pose. I was too busy talking. How long have I been drawing? I've been drawing, I want to say 3 years now. But more or less, it's on and off. Like, I feel weird calling it 3 years because realistically, I've been drawing for more, I guess 34 years. How long? Maybe, okay, technically 5 years. 3 years is probably like how much I've actually spent time drawing, right? Like, if you were drawing, not really, not just every day, but if you were drawing like consistently and working on your craft and making projects and whatnot, you could probably get to better than where I am now in 3 years, I think. Yeah. Where did I learn? Okay, where did I learn? YouTube. YouTube is the best way to learn. But the nicest thing is that I also, and this is like the most important part, I also had like a partner with me. And I don't know how, maybe some people are not like this, but I know this about myself is that I tend to be very easily influenced, right? So my partner's always drawing. This is her job, right? And now that like I was with her, I kind of just felt like drawing all the time. And not only did I feel like it's just what she did was so cool. You know what I mean? So it was just huge inspiration. But where did I learn? I would say Proco is a YouTube channel. You can learn from images on Pinterest. I have like a whole board of just images specifically geared to learning how to draw. Just like little tutorials and stuff. And then a lot of people say you can just learn from observation. I'd say if you want to learn how to learn how to draw enjoyably, right? I would straight up just say you need to copy artists as much as possible. In fact, today we'll be doing that. So this should be our last pose for today. But maybe not because I'm starting kind of late. But you need to do that. Like you really really do need to like just copy from artists that you like, right? And we'll talk a little bit about artists that I like and why I like them. I think her leg is just hidden by her hands here, so I don't even know what the fuck to do with her arms here. It feels like that. I don't know. I'm kind of on autopilot right now. I don't know if you can see how fast this feels like. It feels like it's going at light speed on my end. It feels like I'm going really, really fast. But I'm just trying to get this over with because it's like, with these types of poses, you just want to capture the actual essence of the pose, right? Not the actual anatomy. But yeah, like I was saying, oh yeah, no, she's great. She's absolutely great. But like I was saying, if you are like an artist and you want to become an artist, I would say, first off, if you are someone that likes learning about themselves and is perfectly okay with that, then by all means, just go on YouTube and learn how to draw that way, right? This is not a good pose. I kind of messed up this pose. I kind of don't want to end on this. I mean, honestly, it should be more facing this way. She's kind of looking up at us. Yeah, I don't want to end on this. This is not good. Almost done. But like I was saying, if you're someone who likes learning with other people, I would try to go to places where people draw. Now, if you're someone who lives near a big city, right? Like if you live near New York, I live near Seattle and I have a car, but like Seattle Metro is pretty good, right? I'd say go ahead and try your best to like meet up with those people. And I know some people have like social anxiety and it can be hard. Like it's not easy to make friends. And you don't necessarily need to make friends initially, right? Like don't try to think of making friends too much. I would say just try to like go there and socialize with as many people as possible. Just talk, make small conversation, and if you can, like try to see if you guys have anything in common because you'd be surprised. A lot of people have a lot in a lot to say, right? And a lot that you guys probably have in common. There's probably tons of things. Um, it's actually quite fun because I feel like every time I go to a meetup, I meet people that I just there's so many interesting things that they believe or say. And like nowadays everyone thinks everything that they believe is kind of controversial, right? Or at least there's kind of like not to get too much into quote unquote politics, but like there's this sense that oh well I can't say this and that. And if you give people kind of if you ask questions and let people be vulnerable, generally you get really interesting answers and really like interesting opinions on different things. And I would say people generally have really strong opinions about everything. Like this is a better pose, but I kind of messed it up, but it's all right. But people have very strong opinions about pretty much everything, and you should certainly listen to them, even if you disagree with them, right? Because oftentimes people have terrible opinions, but they just kind of want to be heard. They want someone to hear their not so great opinions. And most people, like, keep in mind, don't think that they're bad. Okay, I think we're done for today. But like I said, most people don't think that they're bad. Um, keep the questions coming in. But what was I gonna say? In terms of art, I would say one of the things that kind of hurt me a lot in the beginning was the sense of like all these art rules. Stop session. All these art rules. And I would say first before you ever like look at before you start or at least want like actually start wanting to improve at art and really this goes for anything, right? Oh, that's a good question. How would I go about developing a style? Okay, let me finish this first one and then I'll answer that question. That's a really fucking good question. But I would say if you want to get good at art, you need to first enjoy it. And that's anything really. You need to first enjoy it because I think people tend to have trouble doing things they don't enjoy. I mean, that sounds pretty obvious, but with art, it's like this is you don't have to be here. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it. You're choosing to do it. And if you're going to choose to do something that isn't purely for money at the beginning, you should enjoy it. Let me go ahead and name this 0402. Okay. And then okay, style. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I think the hardest part about learning how to develop a style or learning how to work with developing your like are you talking about developing your own style or are you talking about kind of learning someone else's style? Well, because those are two different questions, right? But it comes to like developing your own style. I would say just keep drawing. Like if you're someone who's just starting out, don't think about developing your own style, right? Okay, both. So if you're someone who's just starting out, don't think about developing your own style. That is like the last thing you should be thinking of, in my opinion. The reason why is because you kind of inherently have a style already, and it probably looks really similar to everyone that you're starting with, right? Like your style at the very beginning is going to be beginner, right? Like you're going to make kind of really not so great drawings. It might look like a child's drawing. It might look just kind of I guess the technical word is iconoclastic, but it just looks very much like you're drawing symbols, right? Like a lot of people, especially if they get into anime, they tend to draw faces like this, and then they put the eyes way up here, right? And they do this, and then they draw huge eyes, and then sometimes they put the mouth down here, right? And then they put the ears down here, if they even put ears. There's a lot of people who don't, right? And then if they put hair, it's like, the hair looks kind of like this. It's obviously flat. This is not very good, right? Right. But I think the funny thing about it to me is that a lot of people start like this, and when your drawings kind of look like this, don't worry about style. I would say the first step if you want to learn how to draw, copy your favorite artist. Trace over their work. Trace, trace, trace. And the reason why I like tracing as a way of doing art, right? And let me be honest with you. When I say trace, I don't mean post it as your own work. I mean just trace to kind of get a feel for the shapes that someone else is using, right? So no, I'm not saying post it as your own work, but trace all the people you like, trace all the people that you enjoy watching, or whose art you enjoy. When it comes to developing someone else's style, if you are, am I in school for art? No, I have never gone to school for art ever. At least not formally, I suppose. I've considered it. Um, Money got in the way. Money is usually the factor that gets in the way for me when it comes to actually investing, like going to school for something like art. And I also have the sense that I also feel like I can learn quite a bit from just I mean I want to get better at it, you know what I mean? And especially, I do have a kind of an insecurity around my art. I don't feel like it's very good. I don't feel like I compare to people who are in art school. I compare to people who I see on Instagram. So there's part of me that's like, I'm not really ready for that, right? Like going to art school. But that being said, I've seen some artists. Trying to select. I've seen some artists, and they are like artists in art school, and they are not like the best per se. Like they're better than the average person, obviously, but it's not they're not the best. And even like some of the art teachers I've seen, it's very clear to me that they're not really drawing in a style that I particularly like, especially for someone who grew up on the internet. Oh, I didn't finish answering your question. I'll come back to your question. Um, but like I said, I wouldn't be in school for art for a long time unless I really, really felt like it could fast track my development skill, or if it was an online school. Going back to answer your question about developing a style, shapes. Shapes are the most important. Figure out the shapes and proportion. If you can get the shapes and proportion down, right, then you get the art style down, right? Like that's 80% of the art style. The rest of it is also just figuring out the line art, the shading, whatever aspect of art that you're trying to capture. Hopefully that answers your question. I would say shape is really important. Now, I will go over this a little bit here, right? Shape is important, but I think, you know, when I talk about shape, it's very important to think about shape design when you are copying someone else's style because every artist has a different way of creating their shapes, right? But when you are first starting out, I would think about shape secondarily, and this is after the whole spend the whole 6 months just drawing tracing over other people's art, right? But then when you are actually getting into the process where you're like, okay, I enjoy this, I want to actually start getting better. I want to start learning anatomy, I want to start learning gesture, I want to start learning composition, I want to start learning construction, all that stuff. I'd say the first thing you need to do is learn how to draw forms, right? So if as for example, these are your cubes. So your cube, right? These are your cubes, right? Right? So this is your cube. These are your cylinders. And these are your, I mean, I guess you can use pyramids or cones, but cones are not the most. useful thing to use, in my opinion. Just starting out. And I'll get into an explanation as to why. So now you see how like all these kind of have some 3D shape instead of, well, I guess with the exception of this, you can kind of come back behind here and give it a 3D shape. But they all have an expression of like of 3D-ness to it. Like this has, an x-axis, a y-axis, and z-axis, right? This has an axis pointing down through it. This one also has something facing down, something facing kind of off to the right. See if we can get that perspective right. Something facing kind of off this way. Is it like that? There you go. Right? Or that looks weird to me though. Yeah. Anyway, so something and then something pointing up. But yeah, you need to learn form. That's the first thing you need to do if you were getting like serious about. Well, I say serious, but like you actually just want to improve at this point, right? You shouldn't go into art with the mindset of I'm gonna be good, I want to improve. Go into art first, enjoy it, then after that, then focus on getting better, right? Unless you need to like make money from art now, and if you need to make money from anything right now, then I would there are probably other things that are better than starting with art, right? But yeah, but also form is not just these primitives, right? These are the most basic primitives, but you also need to like be able to take an organic form. So we can take like, right, something like this, and then be able to kind of turn it into a 3D form. So I might do something like, okay, I should probably do this. I'm trying to like use my keyboard because it's closer to my microphone. I know I'm a little quieter here, but you see how this kind of looks like a more 3D form? And if I put another ring around it like that, right, it looks a lot more 3D. So same thing here. I mean, I can put like a little dip around it and just have it curve around. So it kind of has like, oh, well, there's an indent here, right? Same thing here. So you see how that gives it more 3D, like more perspective, right? This is kind of one of the most important things that you need to learn after that enjoyment phase is kind of working from these primitives all the way up to this. Like this should be first. So working from these primitives all the way up to this organic shape. So that's kind of getting better at drawing organic shapes, or sorry, organic forms, helps you get better at anatomy, construction, just all the art fundamentals. But that being said, let's hop over and try to understand how feet work. So one of the ways I've been studying lately is that I'll trace over the feet first. So this is not a great image to start with. Let's start with something more simple. This is a pretty good one. So these are, feet and shoes, but this kind of gives you the overall shape of a foot, right? So you have a foot so you have the leg, right? Don't worry too much about the anatomy of the leg, which is basically just one big cylinder, right? Like if you look at it, it's just one big cylinder. Right? And then you have the actual foot part, which is just this kind of, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like a pyramid, really. It's like this pyramid shape. That's really what it is, right? Like you have this kind of that shape to it. But obviously it's not exactly the same, right? You have this kind of 3D-ness to it where you actually have the shoe part comes around. And the nice thing about feet, right, is that they have this, especially on shoes, they have this line here. And this line is like super important because it allows you to turn, like this weird looking pyramid shape into a 2D form pretty quickly. So if I was to draw a form like that, right? Now, this is just kind of a blob of a form. But as soon as I add this to it, it kind of gets more 3D. Like, and it's pretty satisfying. It's like, oh, it feels a lot more 3D now, right? I'm like, oh, okay, now it feels a lot more 3D. If you want to make it even more 3D, you can like have a little thing come out, right? Or that's really bad. I was trying to get that front of the shoe. But yeah, this adds a lot of 3D depth to it. And then my favorite thing to do is to add some kind of lacing or some kind of underpart to it because it feels a lot more 3D when I do that, right? And then past that, you can add, this to also make it feel more 3D. Like the whole point is to make something look as three-dimensional as possible. At least the way I've been thinking about art, recently is try to make something look as three-dimensional as possible with the least amount of lines. And that just happens to be the style I like because I don't like the super detailed hash lines. I love more shape driven stuff. And I think it's because I learned art on the internet. Um, I actually don't know how my partner feels about that. I think we've had a conversation about it a long time ago. But from what I notice, her art is very much driven by. I mean, obviously the shape design is good. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. She's a professional artist, so that she's like professional level shape design. But at the same time, I've she's very good at color, and that's kind of like the part I struggle with a lot. So we'll get to that part later. But anyway, if you guys have any more questions, please let me know. I know this might be a little boring for today, so if you're a little bored, I will be after this. I will be actually doing more character-driven stuff. So I'm gonna actually start working on my characters. But I wanted to fix up the feet yesterday because I wasn't happy with it, right? Um, yeah. So I'm like, there's two things I'm kind of obsessed with personally is art and then like AI. But like AI art, I used to be interested in that, and now it's kind of like with all the recent controversy, I've kind of lost a lot of interest in it. But more or less, kind of like the mathematics behind AI, I'm like really something that I think a lot of people separate the two is like, oh yeah, math is like super technical, it's not really creative, has nothing to do with art, right? And I don't agree because I think math is extremely creative. And I think it's very, very similar to art in a lot of ways, right? And it's not that there's a formula for everything. It's more like you spend a lot of time trying to discover, and that feeling of discovering something new is just like amazing, right? And spend time analyzing other people's work as well. So you see how this person broke it up as front, mid, and then this heel is like the third one. So the heel and then the actual foot. The foot is not that important, right? But you can draw it from any perspective. So let's draw it from this perspective, right? If you just acknowledge the fact that like you can break it up into those shapes. Now this is not going to be perfect. In fact, it probably helps to start with the actual heel first, or the actual leg first, right? Right, and then I usually insert this back part, and then there we go. That was not the greatest, but yeah, it's not perfect, but you kind of get that 3D-ness to it. And then, here they kind of add this they kind of follow up this line, which is always a good idea, by the way. It's always a good idea to make your shapes kind of interlock. But yeah, this is kind of like a foot, what a foot would look like. Now, the only difference is that you probably. Do you think going to art school is worth it? I had I guess technically an ex girlfriend who's in art school, and her art is not bad. Um, she's a beautiful painter, but um, I used to think it was like it would make you really good if you were at art school. I now no longer think that because her skill hasn't really improved that much. I think it's not worth it for just skill. I think it is worth it for industry connections. And I think that's kind of like maybe it's not worth the huge price tag, and you can make your industry connections another way or from getting lucky by finding people in your area or your city. But I think oftentimes, especially as if you're an artist, you're probably, if you're an artist and you went to art school and there's a lot of kids there, like especially from more immigrant backgrounds who don't have the kind of pushing of their family, right? Their family is probably discouraging them from going to art school, or, maybe they just aren't particularly open to it. I think it can be very helpful for people like that. And I have the same feeling about art school that I feel like and I feel kind of about college, right? Because college is it's oftentimes derided. And don't get me wrong, I do think that if you go to college, you should know what you're doing, right? Okay, I don't know what I'm drawing here. I was just drawing one of the toes from reference. But college can be good for a more it can be good for the community as opposed to just the the actual learning and technical training aspect. Because I went to college for computer science, right? And yeah, I use like some of the things I learned, but like most of what I learned that I actually is applicable to my job, I learned by myself, right? Like just completely by myself. Like I learned how to program by myself. I learned how to debug by myself. I learned how to become a good software engineer pretty much by myself. I learned to do data analysis and data science by myself. Like the most that we learned was, I mean, not to get too technical, but it was like just like histograms and normal distributions, and it's like that's really basic stuff if you're interested in um, data science. So that being said, don't go to school to learn how to draw. Go to school to learn how to talk to people and actually get your feet in the industry. Because people know this, but like don't take it seriously for some reason, right? But like you know who is like 90% of the meritocracy, quote unquote, right? And there's this idea that it's somehow that's kind of evil, right? And it can be evil, it can be abused. Don't get me wrong. But I think also there's just a practical issue with it, right? It's just like if people know you, they can vouch for you. If you've worked with them, they can vouch for you. They can talk about you. They can bring you up, right? They're not going to talk about someone they don't know, right? And don't be wrong, I wholeheartedly hear the point. Well, that's bad because the world should be a meritocracy. Everyone should be kind and nice to each other, etc., and know about everyone's else skill, and the best should win, etc. But I like, you don't know everyone in the world, right? They're still a human at the end of the day. And this is not like, there's discrimination can still very much happen, right? For all kinds of very unfair reasons. And I am not going to dismiss that fact. If I could just find where the goddamn toes are. I was gonna say this is not for kids, but like that's what I listed this like what do you call it? This whole thing as this whole stream. But honestly, I feel like we haven't covered any not safe for work topics or anything like that. And something makes me think, oh, kids get more views. Like kids are more willing to watch something like this. Now, I would have to admit that because I've watched a lot of live streams of people drawing, so I'm not sure if I definitely open it to kids. Oh well, never mind. Okay. Well, if you guys think it's a good idea, well, I have no choice now. I should open it up to kids. Damn, but I want to like swear and curse. Like, will I still be able to swear and curse? Whoa! Who is this? A new person. Hello, Elysian? Elysian? Elysian. Elysian. I think it's Elysian. That's like the that's like a heaven in the underworld for the Greeks, I believe. I think. Yes. So I don't remember much about Greek mythology. It's been a long time. But my partner's always talking about it. Always talking about it. And she's a huge mythology buff. I used to be a mythology buff as a kid. I mean, that was one of the things that, one of the reasons why I really like spending time with her is just like we really do like a lot of the same stuff. Ooh, that is a terrible fucking nail. You see, I want to be able to say fucking nail here. Hello. Oh, exactly. Whoa. Oh, this is great. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far, because I am. And, I never really understood the appeal of streaming, and I need to zoom in. I'm like, I don't know if you guys know the artist Wallop. Now, Wallop is like, he's a lot like me, right? Which he was a computer scientist, like programmer, and then he decided to paint, and then turns out he got to the level of like actual world class level painting. Like when I say his work is so good that I don't think I've seen AI art that's even remotely as good as his. Right? He's just incredibly talented, right? And one of the funny things about him is that he kind of started from the same place. He was a competitive programmer for a while, which I don't know if you guys knew this, but they have programming competitions. And it's like great to be part of that because you get a lot of connections through it. It's not for me though. Lord knows I do not want to have to solve ON puzzle. I do not want to solve puzzles for fun. Actually, that's not true. I kind of do that. Like I feel like art is kind of a puzzle sometimes, but art is fun. Like I'm creating shit. Like I don't feel that way about my job. Like I'm just here to make money and go at this point. But yeah, thanks for joining. I think it's like 5 unique people I've seen. Oh man, like if this is how I feel at 5 people, sky's the limit, dude. Sky's the limit. But yeah, feel free to ask as many questions as you want because I really love answering your questions. I really, really love answering your questions. Um, yeah. So I met a friend. So okay. I don't know. My partner can attest to this, but I met my friend. I meet a lot of people, and we just end up being friends. Oh, you don't mind me asking, where do you work? I work at a very large company, and I don't know if it's like a really really large company. Um, I feel like I should just go out and say it. You know what? I don't know if it's okay to say because I don't want to dox myself, but I work at Microsoft, right? Huge company, and because I like this stream should be my name is not connected to anything bad on the internet. Someone said nah. Oh well, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. Anyway, we'll hope. Anyway, It's just if I get big enough and people end up doing some deep dive video essay on my entire history, I just it's gonna be really annoying. I hope I just get big for her toes are backwards. I just fucking noticed her toes are backwards. Fuck. Well, you guys don't know my actual name, so it's fine. It's okay. I guess I'll have to delete the stream later. I feel bad, but it feels bad, man. Or I can just unlist it later. But what was I gonna say? I work at a really big company, and right? Uh, oh man, I really. It's all right. It's okay. But I work at a big company. Um, this is just a sketch. Fuck it. I'm not gonna redraw the toes too hard here. But um, anyway, like I was saying, I work at a very big company. It's a pretty successful company. Yeah, it's fine. Toes are hard. They are hard. But it's a fun job. Like I said, I don't have much things bad to say about it. So, but it's an interesting job, I should say. Hmm. Okay, I like the way she looks. I am thinking what should I do with the boy? So the boy, I have an idea of what he should look like. No, you're fine, that gal. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I don't feel bad, but I don't think anyone's going to. I don't think anything's going to come of it. Maybe down the road in like 10 years or something, someone tracks all my history and everything I've done and said on the internet. It's one of those things about the internet is that like I know people say you have to be very safe and protect yourself on the internet, but oftentimes feels. Oh, wait, how long have you been drawing? Like actually about 3 years, just about 3 years, and I kind of started in college, and I just kept doing it, and it's hard. It's hard. During COVID, I got so much time to practice, so yeah, that's that and that. A lot of time to practice. So I guess the boy, I'm trying to figure out what I should be doing with him because he's more kind of, I'm not, he's like childlike, right? He's kind of her younger brother, and she reads him stories at night, right? And I don't know how to depict him as I don't know if this is childlike enough, right? Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if this is childlike enough. I don't think so, but yeah. Yep, I've been trying for about 3 years, like actually taking it seriously, and I started as an adult, so I wasn't one of those kids that like recognized that they had talent. My partner's like, well, someone said, hey, the dragon that I drew was cool, right? And I just kept drawing after that. And I think I drew one picture, and my mom was like, you were spending your time doing that instead of studying. And that was the end of drawing for me. How long do you think someone should draw to be like a professional? It depends on how serious. It depends on so many factors. Honestly, you can become a professional at any step at really any time, right? Like I would say after a year you could be professional. In fact, Polygon, LMAO, sounds like my mom, yeah. But I would say Polygon is a good example. After a year of sculpting, he's a 3D sculptor, right? After a year of sculpting, he became pro. Like he was getting hired by toy companies to sculpt their model, sculpt their dolls, right? And I would say at that point, like he was sculpting 5 to 8 hours a day, and he was in between jobs and whatnot. So you can really get to that point if you wanted to. It just requires good, decent circumstances. like the circumstances just keep drawing and drawing and drawing and practicing and drawing and drawing and drawing and practicing. The only thing is that I would say if you are going to learn how to draw, right, there's so many different things. Like the field is very wide. So I would focus on a particular aspect of drawing. Like for me, I want to get good at animating. That's what I care about, right? So I'm like focusing very hard on drawing the body, the anatomy, thinking about shapes, etc., etc. Right? And it's kind of how do I put it? It's like when you focus on that a lot, you kind of lack in all the other aspects of drawing. So like color, I'm not very good at, right? Like that's why I took a lot of color advice from you guys because I have trouble picking colors myself, right? Um, if you guys can help me pick a hairstyle, that'd be great. But yeah, I would say that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't take seriously enough is that if you work really, really hard on one thing, all the other things will suffer. So you need to specialize if you're going to try to get pro, right? I'd say in terms of things that you can get pro pretty easily at, um, so I've read on Reddit that like a storyboard artist is probably the easiest thing and probably the least automatable thing to do. I I mean storyboard art is like really fun and it's basically like people who want to be animators end up becoming storyboard artists, right? Because those things are not very different from each other. Give me a second. I'm trying to type something into Pinterest. Like I said, I can't do two things at the same time. So there's like this. Okay, give me a second. There's this, right? I'm looking at a couple. I mean, this is certainly, and I'm not entering my birth date. That'll really dox myself if I tell you guys how old I am. But, um, yeah, I don't particularly love these AI design drawings, but they are very good inspiration for how to make very, I would say, characters that look good to other people who aren't really artists, right? Because when you start actually getting good at art, you realize kind of you think about things in a different way. And it's just like people who are musicians can hear chord changes a lot clearer than say you and I can, right? Or they might have perfect pitch. They might be able to hear individual notes more clearly because they're used to thinking a lot more deeply about it. This is so cute. Um, sorry, I can't see the chat right now. Okay, so let's see if there's any more in the chat. Sounds like my mom. Oh man. Yeah, I have immigrant parents and they are really strict. Really, really strict. So, not much I can do there. But as I gotten older, you know, they can't really say much because I live by myself. I'm like an individual who does stuff by himself. Not convenient. Um, what hairstyle do you guys like? You guys should choose if you have any opinions, anything, because I can't choose any of these. I don't know if I like any of them. I like this art piece, but I don't care for the hair. I just like characters running a lot. You know, I told my partner, hey, I'm gonna get all my references ready before I actually start streaming. Um, that didn't happen. That certainly did not happen. Nope. Yeah, you see how boys all have the same kind of haircut? Like, I want something interesting. I was thinking of giving him maybe like a little hat like this, a little bowler's hat. You know what? African seaside fisherman. You think they wear any hats? Like African fishermen? See, I like this little rain hat that he has. Oh, that'd be a little. What is this called? Does anyone know what this is called? Yeah, does anyone know what this is called? This little fisherman hat? If you do know, please leave it in the comment section below. It's a bucket hat? That's it. You know what? That's right. It's a bucket hat, no? Bucket hat. Um, yeah, I don't know. You know what? Okay, I don't know if you guys remember, but last time we used ChatGPT to give us. So I have a subscription to ChatGPT, right? And we use this to kind of get information for what our characters should look like. Um, can you? Oh, I can't type. Can you create a character with a small a child or male child character design with a small hat, a bucket. I think I probably said that incorrectly. Oh man, these things are so cool to me. I really do enjoy using ChatGPT. And I know there's like a lot of controversy. People have very strong opinions on it. I just I find it useful in my everyday life, but it's not. It provides value in terms of enjoyment value, but to me, it's kind of a fun gimmick. How is this? Choto kawaii, 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 honto kawaii. It's very cute. Mm. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm learning Japanese, right? And my voice goes up like a whole octave when I speak Japanese. It's really, really funny. And like every Japanese person, when they speak English, the voice goes down an octave. And I don't know why that is. I've Googled it several times, but it doesn't seem like people have a conclusive answer as to why that's the case. You see, look at AI doesn't know how to do sketches, apparently. These are pretty good. What do you guys think? Let's give him more interesting clothing. I would say I like the bucket hat idea. The only thing is that he should be. I guess the bucket hat idea does work. He could use suspenders. Actually, you know what? That might be better than mine. Let's give him. Oh my God, there's 5 people watching. This is great. This is so amazing. Oh, you like this? You like this design? Well, if you like it, I feel like I thought you colored the girl already. Oh yeah, I did color the girl. I'm removing it so I can like kind of get an idea of how to draw the boy, so I can see the line art clearer, right? Because I want the style to remain the same across both the girl and the boy. But yeah, that is true. Um, the reason why I posted the where's my okay? So one of the reasons why I posted it without the colored is because the colors aren't finished just yet. But today, hopefully, we get the sketches done. Um, I like his outfit, but I think this would look better. Like a lot better, in fact. Do you guys draw? Any of you guys in the comments? Cause Curious if anyone else also partakes in the amazing craft of drawing. That's what it is. I don't care what anyone says. It's craft. I really appreciate you guys being here because I do get quiet in my head whenever I'm drawing. Like I get very, very much in my own way, and I think it causes me to kind of drop projects really, really easily because it's like I can't really determine. Oh, is this actually good? Is this what I want? You know, you get that kind of you get that self doubt. I dabble. Yes, queen. I want to go to school for it, and I might have drawn my profile pic. So I know. Oh, okay. Cool. I don't know if I can see it. Can I see it? Okay, well, I'll take a look at the profile pic after the stream. After the stream. But that's so great. I am happy that you want to go to school for drawing. I'd say get good as much as possible. Especially if you really want to go to school for it. Like, just I guess I don't have much advice other than just grind. I didn't go to school for it, but I mean, like it is if that's what you want to do, I think it's a great idea. And honestly, when it comes to college, the only problem is not knowing what you want to do with your skill, right? I think that's kind of like that's what happened to me, right? And I'd say if you know I'm going to go to school for drawing and I want to be good at it, right? Then you're already like ahead of most people, especially most people who actually did end up drawing. It's not sorry, did end up going to school for art. So I'd say, yeah, definitely, I would definitely support that decision. And I hope your parents also support that decision because there's nothing worse than having unsupportive parents. Tell you that lot from a lot of years of experience. And like, one thing that parents respect, at least my dad respects, I think my mom's a little harder. But one thing that parents tend to respect quite a bit is independence. I think I think a lot of parents respect that. Especially more controlling parents. Mm. Oh, I don't know. I blacked out. How you not know? I just there. That's why they don't know. I don't know. Artsy. You see, it's just the muse hopped on her shoulder and she just blacked out and then made a masterpiece. That's amazing. It's really I'm jealous, man. I'm like conscious all the time. You know what? I need to get in that flow state as well so I can like know how that feels. His nose is gonna be a little bigger. And then I'm gonna do that like anime thing where they put a little bit on the side like that. Ah, that's not right. It's like okay, I'm worrying too much about the details. You see, that's what I mean. You focus so hard on the details that you actually lose what you were here for, which is the drawing. And he's going to be a very cute little goober. Man, I love this feeling of this brush. One of my pet peeves is like undoing too far and then not liking what you did after the undo, but like it's gone, right? So you can't actually do anything with it. It's actually one of my pet peeves. It's really horrendous. Any of you guys who use Procreate, right? You know how there's like you can use two fingers tap to be able to undo, right? when I first started drawing, I like got an iPad. I started drawing and on like digitally, right? I had been drawing digitally so much that when I tried to go back to paper, I was like just unconsciously tapping twice with two fingers. Like it's really really funny. It's really really funny, and it's like it feels strange to me because it's like most people probably went the other way around, especially if you start as a kid. Okay, I don't like those eyes. Also, if you're artsy and you have any opinions on my art where I can improve, and you don't even have to be artsy, you just have to have eyes, right? Please let me know because I really want to hear everyone's opinions. I feel like I don't get a lot of like feedback on my art. Give me paper and you're getting stick figures. Oh my god, I relate so hard to that. Oh, you don't know how bad you are at drawing until you actually sit down on pencil and paper, and then you're like, "I'm a god on digital." Like I swear, because you doubt yourself, right? You're like, "Am I actually good at this?" Or like and it's super demoralizing too. Sometimes, at least the first couple of times, right? I've gotten better at like switching back and forth. Sometimes before I go to bed, because I have trouble sleeping sometimes, and I draw like before I go to bed, right? And I'm sitting there just drawing, and it's gotten me a lot better. This YouTuber that I watch, she's like, "Oh, you should draw with pencil, not pen. Sorry, draw with pen, not pencil." And that's just embarrassing to me. Like I I've never been more humbled in my entire life drawing with pen because a pen is mightier than the pencil because you will be humbled. Your entire self confidence, your artistic confidence will just be gone in a second. Because one, you can't, obviously it's a pen, it's permanent. Whatever mark you put down is pretty permanent. And I feel like I draw pretty fast, so it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. Okay, hairstyle. What do you guys think? You guys think bucket hat? One thing I wanted to make these characters is that I wanted to make these characters black, right? Um, I want them to kind of look like me as a character, as a person, I should say, look like me as a person, right? And one of those, it's very important to me that like the characters kind of reflect. I mean, it doesn't really, they don't have to be super diverse or anything, but it's just kind of like I just want to see more black characters, right? And I never really thought too much about the problem until my partner kind of introduced it to me. Bucking like a mechanical bull. You guys are fucking hilarious. Oh my god. How do I do this? What is going on? Oh my god. How do I? Okay, so I'm trying to think. His hat should start around here, right? Now hats are fucking hard. Okay, hats are hard. I think it should be more this way. Yeah, but I really did want to make him a black, a little black boy. Because, why not? Also, I have representation and whatnot. I'm trying to think of whether I should. Yeah, and I cannot stress this enough. Ha. It's really fucking funny. Yeehaw. man, I remember in sixth or seventh grade, like my first introduction to memes was like Evil Yee or Last Ha or some shit like that, and I used to think that was absolutely hilarious when I was 12. And you know, your humor should change, but some days I'm like, I'm still a 12-year-old. Hey man, gotta get on the Cowboy Carter wave. Wait, is Cowboy Carter that like Hispanic guy from Texas who raps? I need to look this up. Cowboy Carter. Oh, is it album by Beyonce? That's embarrassing. I will listen to the album now. If you guys are gonna bring it up, I might as well have to listen to it. It's a Beyonce album. Oh man. Yeah, I'm so. I will say I hate how disconnected from pop culture I am because I was talking to my dad about it. My dad is like super into pop culture of his time period. He knows all of like any pop culture references in the '70s. He's very familiar with, right? Past the '70s, he has no clue. And my sometimes my partner is like, she'll make a reference or something. I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about because the music I listen to is like soundtracks, like video game soundtracks. And I grew up playing violin, right? And that was part of the reason why I fell in love with soundtracks, is because I was like, there's so many violins in these soundtracks, so I might as well learn how to play it. Also, my mom thought it was like good for memory or something to play the violin as opposed to like any other instrument. Which I want, if anyone thinks that, right, please set the record straight and just tell them that like it doesn't really matter what instrument you learn. Yeah, this hat is not coming out too well. Not the happiest with it. This is going to be really hard to turn in 3D. I think I will do. Maybe I should give him the hat. Should be more. Yeah, let me try to draw. No, that doesn't look right. You know what? Time to go back to drawing board. Literally. It's like that. Hmm. Oh my god, why would I do that? Yes, Cleo. What of it? They're starting to beef. Why is drawing this fucking bucket hat so hard? It just does not look right to me. It just doesn't look right to me, man. Maybe it's because it's coming down too early? Maybe it should be like this. And then you kind of come up like that. And it should not be this hard. It should not. It should not be this hard. I'm a better artist than this, right? No. I'll get it. I'll get it. It'll just take a while. It always feels too small. I know I can do it. I got it. I got it. I don't know if it's getting better or I'm getting more tired of drawing it. Think it should come out in front a little bit. Maybe if I come in the front a little bit, it'll feel better. Mm, I gotta look up more references. Pinterest. Pinterest. How do I draw a bucket hat? Bucket hat on person. The girls are fighting. Did I put bucket gat bucket gat on person? It's comedic. I hate these fucking ads. I hate this ad. I hate these ads. It's like on the last stream. I appreciate it. On the last stream, I clicked on like 3 of these in a row. Okay, I hate it. I hate how many times I click on these ads. So like, it seems like bucket hats is a really common outfit, a common accessory for women. I wonder if it was like always that way because for example, high heels used to be for men to literally compensate for like the fact that they weren't very tall. Is this an ad? Sorry, I know I'm blowing into the mic. You're not supposed to do that, but I am seething. Is that an ad? Is that an ad? I'm stealing that one. A B C D E F U. That is clever. It's punny. I think you should go back to kindergarten. Yikes. Chill, y'all. Chill, chill. It's not that serious. I mean, it's kind of serious. It's about Beyonce, so. Swear to God, Beyonce could actually start a war if she wanted. I'm sure there are people who would die for that woman. I mean, honestly, I don't blame her. I don't blame them. I would definitely blame her if she started a war. I'm kind of curious as to what it's like to be in that position because she's like probably the most important. I mean, she's just an icon that everyone knows. Like, I don't think I know anyone who doesn't know who Beyonce is, even if they don't listen to her music. And I'm kind of happy she's in country because she might actually make country cool sounding. You know what? I'm gonna try to draw it one more time. You see, it covers her ear. It covers the ear completely, and it goes quite far out. So, so it has to be kind of here. Maybe not this far out, but here. And then okay, well, okay, back then the Hive was like Taylor Swift stands, but now not like that. Beyonce stands act like Taylor. I don't agree with that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Oh my, I mean, I agree with it like conceptually. Like I see why you feel that way. I just have a lot more respect for Beyonce fans, and that might just be because I know Beyonce fans personally, and I know Taylor Swift fans personally, and I know who I would like to hang out more with. I know who I can actually like have a conversation with and talk to. Um, but I think also Beyonce's music just feels like she's so big, right? She's huge. She's an absolutely huge star. But I I don't know. Like her music when I listen to it still feels very iconic. I think the more I listen to Taylor Swift's music, the more I ask myself why is she so popular? You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the difference between Beyonce for me and Taylor Swift is that I can see the appeal of Beyonce like any day. She's very easy. It's very easy to see the appeal. I don't feel the same way about Taylor Swift. Yeah, and I'll put that one on my mama. I know a Taylor Swift fan, like very personally. In fact, they're in my family, and she's like gotten me to try to listen to Taylor Swift music, and I'm like, I like sometimes we'll be driving, right? And I'll tell her like you either take your phone out of the aux or get out of my car. And the crazy part, it's a rental car. So, no, straight up, nah. Like, nah, they're not even comparable. Not even comparable to me. Besides, regardless, I can like if someone is playing Beyonce, right? And like if someone's playing Beyonce in like my college, right? I went to a kind of like one of those colleges where Beyonce was played all the time, and like it wasn't annoying, right? I can't imagine listening to Taylor Swift quite often. I was just like, no, I lose brain cells. It would hurt. It would hurt. Okay, so I think that's fine. We'll stick with that for right now, and then we'll kind of give him a little. We'll stick with that for right now. Um, yeah. For those of you who asked about like how long I've been drawing, like I said, it's been very on and off, but I had been drawing for a while and then kind of like I stopped and then got back on and I think I took about I want to say 4 or 5 months of just not drawing before I started drawing again in that stream. So that was quite a lot to get. It was really nerve wracking actually because I was like, okay, I don't know how bad this is going to be. I really hadn't been drawing very much before then. So, yeah, yeah. Um, I'm gonna try to make his hair kind of shaggy looking. Though I will say, black boys don't get hair like this, right? Like our hair doesn't usually look like that. It's gonna be more something like this, right? It's gonna be more like that. But that hairline is way too high up, or way too close to the eyebrows. Yeah, our hairline would be further up here, and then yeah. I, as a black boy, should know. Or man, was once a boy. Way back in the good old days of 2010. I was listening to someone criticize. Oh my god. Oh, that's really funny. I love what's going on in the chat. I love it. You guys are great. This is like the best audience ever. I just want you guys to know that. Because every time I turn to look at the chat, it just gets better. You guys just get better. Yeah, I love this chat so much. I am really grateful for everyone who has joined thus far. I just want you guys to know that. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate, like, I'm happy that you guys are, like, enjoying yourself. It seems like you guys are enjoying yourself as well. So I really am happy. Mm. I'm curious. Have you guys like? Do you guys have any favorite artists that you really really like? Like, I mean, I have a couple, but I don't know. I feel like my art kind of palette is very small, a very yeah, it's very tiny. Like, I recently discovered some this Russian artist. Speaking of which, the YouTubers that you learned from, how again? I will tell you in a second. Let me just move his body up, make him a little shorter. Um. Okay, we can actually check them out on YouTube just one time because we're already here. YouTube.com. It's on my stream. Um. What are we looking for? Shoot. Proco. So Proco's everyone recommends Proco, by the way. I'm sure you've seen this guy. He focuses more on realistic stuff, but like there is really only one video. One of my drawings got banned in Russia. Oh my god. That sounds like one of those like in Soviet Russia jokes. Oh my god. Then those like Cold War era jokes that like literally fell out of favor when I was in like fifth grade. But yeah, this playlist is the one play. Like, you want to learn how to draw the head? Do that. This is the most important playlist you gotta look at, right? Um, and then he was like the most important person that I used to kind of learn the basics. And then like since I'm a more technical kind of person, what's his name? Draw a box. Drawbox is actually pretty good. This is very difficult. I'm gonna be very clear with you. It is really, really hard to do this course. If you're one of those people who's like very self motivated, this is the course for you. Do Drawbox. Go through the intro guide. Yeah, go through the intro guide, and he'll explain kind of why you should only use about 50% of your time to work on his course. But it's completely free. It will get you better. Like you'll become if you do this entire course, and I didn't, but I did the first lesson. Do this entire course, you will be very very good, like well ahead, like almost professional level. Um, I would say Belarus too. That makes a lot of sense. Belarus. And then I think in terms of like artists that I learned from outside of YouTube, what's her name? TB Choi. TB Choi is TB Choi is probably the best artist that's our age. I'm assuming she's absolutely fantastic. Some of the best character designs. You've seen her character designs everywhere, from Valorant to Overwatch. Um, yeah, she's just a fantastic artist. She does a lot of live streams. You can look her up on YouTube. I'm sure she's Also, she might even be streaming now. Yeah, she streams quite a bit. Like her art is just amazing. Yeah. Um, and I think those are the. And then like if you want, if like when it comes to color, Sam does arts. Does art is also pretty good. I'm sure you've seen his art everywhere. His art is very iconic, but I do think he does. I love what he does with the oranges around the face. It's always his lighting's just really good. Lavender Town is also pretty good. I actually got to meet her like in person. She's really cool. Her boyfriend is absolutely amazing. Really funny guy. Yeah, but that's correct. Yeah, Lavender Town is pretty good. I really like her art style as well. Um, yeah, no, it. I did meet her. I got the chance to meet her, and she was really really cool. Um, a lot more. I would say on YouTube, I oftentimes get the sense that she's super like outgoing, but like in in actuality, she's kind of shy, right? She's a little introverted, and her parents are like the most supportive people ever. They are a great. They are fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. But I wish my parents were like that. But yeah, no, hers are. I love her art style. I love her comics. It's just got this nice. It reminds me a lot of Adventure Time, right? And one of these days I'll do like a comic book review because I've been starting to read more comics lately, and I recently picked up this kind of. It's like a kind of gay romance comic, and it's not. It's kind of a gay romance because like both characters are lesbians, but they are super like it goes really deep into kind of their own personal journeys, and it's like it's a really simple. I'm talking too much about it, but talk about it one of these days because I really enjoyed it. But it's a simple journey, car ride, and they go into a lot of really deep topics, and it's also got that like mysterious realism with it too, a mystical realism with it too. I really love this. There's another person I found the other day. I want to say it's Prisna. Is it that? What's the name of that? Like, I'm gonna lose my mind if I can't actually find it. I'm gonna be so angry. Give me a second. I will find it without doxing myself. I promise. Aha, Mr.
One of
Pisney.
my students landed.
I apologize for that. Let's see if I can find their art here. The Lavender Town is really good, but if you like Lavender Town style, I think this style is also pretty great. I really love this style. I don't know if you guys have seen anything like this. I love this style. Like this kind of cute, whimsical style with really big eyes. So the things that like in these types of styles, people think, oh, this is super easy because look how simplified it is. Bro, this shit is hard. This shit is really, really hard. Especially to get to look right and to get the proportions to look good, right? Because you have to be very good at shape design and shape language, right? And it's shape design is what makes or breaks these types of character designs. Yeah, they're so talented, and one of the few people that I have ever like seen who's able to draw art like straight on a page, right? Like if you look at their speed paints, they don't even oh, this is not them. This is them, I think. I think this is them. I don't. Yeah, their art is fantastic. Let me see if I can find you guys a speed paint, and I'll mute it so it doesn't just override. It doesn't get really loud.
Hey, attention everyone.
I apologize. Yeah, so yeah, the music is terrible, but the art is beautiful. Yeah, like look at that. It's so nice. And it kind of reminds me of Lavender Town's art in the sense of like I like the color schemes. I love good shape design. There's like nothing that does it more for me than really good shape design. Chat, why y'all so quiet? That's a good question. It's a good question. But yeah, this art style is so beautiful. I really, really like it. I'm not just the shading, but also just kind of like the character design is just super nice. Digital Circus is also pretty good. I don't know if you guys know VisiPop. Nice, nice. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think whoever Lady Nefertiti is, I think Elysian's got you beat out. VisiPop? Yeah, VisiPop is pretty good. She's pretty good. VisiPop is really, really good. But yeah, I love this type of art style. Like just like I said, the shape design is really good. VisiPop is also a really good artist, and I don't know. Do you guys know? Have you guys ever seen her like actual interviews with? She went to the same art school as this guy named like I don't know if you guys have heard of Castlevania, right? Let's see if I can find an interview with her. No, this is not. See, this is like VisiPop now. I'm talking about like VisiPop. Anyway, I saw an interview with her about 10 years ago. Let me scroll down just one more time. See if I could find it, because I think I just saw it. No, I didn't see it. Anyway, so VisiPop went to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. And if you have ever seen Castlevania, if you guys are familiar with Castlevania, right? The guy who worked to create Castlevania was like her classmate, Spencer Wan. And Spencer Wan is my all-time favorite animator, favorite action animator. Oh my god, the guy is insane. He is my favorite animator, and if you look at his sketchbooks, bro, I need to show you guys this. Sorry, I'm like geeking out here because this is like shit that I would watch in my free time. Spencer Wan sketch book. Let me see if I can find sketchbook interview. I don't know if I can find it here. You know, I'm gonna actually prepare to do this. This is also a really good stream, by the way. He draws in this stream, and it's really fun to watch. School of Visual Arts. Spencer's sketchbook. Yeah. So this is him, right? And this is like 12 years ago, right? The guy is phenomenal. Like, look at these shapes. This guy is beautiful. Yes, Castlevania is amazing. I'm glad we can be all united in our love for Castlevania, because it is fantastic. Okay, it is a beautiful, beautiful show. And honestly, a lot of people did not like Nocturne, and I loved it quite a bit. I mean, me and my partner were talking about it. She's like, "Yeah, I feel like Nocturne was really, really good at, like, the story was really cohesive," and I totally agree. I totally agree. It was a lot more cohesive. Like, I went back and rewatched season, I think it was 4 of Castlevania. I was like, whoa, this made no sense. I don't know why I kept watching it. Like, I just, no, okay, I was like, bro, this actually makes no sense, right? I mean, I enjoyed it, and there's nothing disgraceful about that, right? I think you can enjoy something and not understand what's going on most of the time. Anyway, that being said, let me get back to drawing because you guys are going to distract me from drawing. I'm supposed to be finishing this character design. So I technically have work to go back to after this. So I'm like trying to do as much as I possibly can within this time frame. And you know, the nice thing is that, like, I'm complaining about you guys distracting me, but I usually get distracted even more than this on a regular basis when I'm drawing. Like I'm not even. Oh my God. I think I should move this back a little bit because. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna change his feet. I don't think his feet are very well done. You know, there's some people can draw without a sketch. That is not me. I require a sketch. So the nice thing is that, let me up brush a little bit. Nice thing is that the sketch is kind of self-explanatory a little bit. It's very easy to understand what I need to do. Yeah, I'm happy there's a lot more people out there who actually enjoy animation. I remember like when my partner first introduced me to animation, she's like, "Yeah, people actually have to sit down and animate this frame by frame." Mine was blown because I've watched animated movies quite a bit, right? And I love them, but I just for whatever reason my brain did not connect the dots that oh shit, there are people behind this actually making it, right? I guess when you grow up in a pretty type A immigrant family, you don't really know about options, like career options like that. Like everything's so focused on money, money, money. And you know, don't get me wrong, it's important. Like I'm not gonna pretend like money isn't important. We live in America, right? But at the same time, it does feel, how do I put it? Like there's a sense that like you can only provide value to the world by being a doctor or engineer or some kind of scientist with a PhD, right? And the older I get, the more I don't believe that. And you know, that's one thing that I'm kind of grateful for my I know I talk with my partner quite a bit, but like I'm grateful for her because she kind of showed me, "Oh, well, you can be an artist and provide immense value to people." Like immense, immense value. Right? Animation goes so fucking hard. Animation is so amazing. Right? Exactly. You know, we almost had, a dead lady on it, Harry Tubman, right? So it would have been nice for that statement to be a little less true than it is. Just a little bit less true than it is. That being said, a black woman too. We should have put her on. I don't know what kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but we should have put her on the $20 bill. At least a 20. You know. Dead Lady Wild, bro. Wait, is it too soon? Is it too soon? Is it too soon? I'm sorry. That's really funny. Okay, okay. Well, now I've learned it is too soon to talk about Harry Tubman. We are still collectively traumatized. Right? She's knocking out all those kids for us all. Oh man. I remember learning about her in school and like it's interesting because our teacher really focused on it. I didn't know why until I got older and I was like, ah, that makes sense. This makes perfect sense. And I'm happy that she focused really hard on Harriet Tubman. I went to one of those schools where, like, you know, these things were talked about, like race and racism were talked about, but it was very, like I was usually the only black kid in class, that type of deal. So when that's the case, it just, it doesn't matter how much you talk about racism, you still feel very othered. And the kids know it. So that's that on that. Yeah, she was so cool. Bro, that's crazy. First of all, she knocked out kids and they thought she was out here mollywopping. That's fucking hilarious. It's crazy now. Like, I find it interesting that like we found out that opium knocks things out. But like if you take just a small enough amount of opium, you can get really high from it. Where is that color? Okay, one, that color needs to be bigger. Because, oh, well, that's not good. Yeah, that color does need to be a little bigger. I don't mind. I'm just waiting for my roommate to ask me, like, what the hell are you doing talking to yourself? I'm like, no, I'm streaming. I love telling my roommate that I stream or make videos. Because it seems like he's pretty curious about it. His girlfriend is an artist as well. Artist and a photographer. Bro, what the fuck am I doing with this? What, okay, chat, what am I doing? This is kind of embarrassing. See, if I was a professional artist. No, I'm joking. I feel like I was drawing really well yesterday, but today is a little bit more of a struggle. Bro, why is it so wide over there? That looks too big to me, but bro's got wide shoulders. Wide shoulders. Yeah, I mean, this is actually keeping me really alert right now. Let me get you high. How is his hat? There's his hat. It's like that. That's his hat. I think it's a lot better. I actually think this is decent. Why is that a random fact you can pull out of your brain? Bro, I have so many random facts about opium. So many random facts specifically about opium. And it's because I love history, and when you read about the opium wars, both of them, right, in China, and it's like the reason, I don't know if you guys know this, but like Hong Kong technically belonged to Britain, and they quote unquote gave it back, and they're like, okay, we'll give it back to you in 50 years or whatever, right? Back to China, that's what I meant. And like China's like, no, like they try to give it back, and he's like, oh, 2050 is when you guys will get it back, right? Hong Kong is kind of acted as like its own independent state or whatnot. And the funny thing about it is that like, China's just like, oh, well, I don't care. Let's get the jump on it. The funny thing about it, at least to me, is that when I was reading about the Opium Wars, which is really, really fascinating, by the way, I was reading about it like to learn about because there was this female pirate that I wanted to write about, which is kind of loosely what the story is based on, actually. There's a much grander story behind this. Belonged is a very colonizing word. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean belong. I apologize. I mean was colonized by Britain. I apologize. I said belong incorrectly. I guess I apologize. I shouldn't have said belonged. But I meant like, yeah, it was colonized by Britain. But it was more or less operated not like, for example, Nigeria was colonized, but it's not Hong Kong. You know what I mean? Like it was more or less a trading port. The funny thing about colonization in that part of the world is that it didn't function a lot like. Oh, you guys can get me on history now. But anyway, yeah, it didn't function a lot like it did in Africa, because I think a lot of people's models of colonization are like Africa and the Americas, right? Um, tree. Yes, Hong Kong was a treaty port. That's correct. Yep, that is correct. Yep. So it didn't function like, say, a lot of places in Africa, right? At least that's my understanding. But what I was saying is that like I read a lot about the Opium Wars, and I was you kind of learn a little bit about opium doing so because of how important it was. And this was like a really bad time for China during this period. It was not a good time for China. You know, there was a lot of colonization and not so great stuff going on. That time of history was terrible. I mean, today is also pretty terrible, but like, at least we have Clip Studio Paint. Yep, yep. Yeah, history is really cool. History is cool. It's cool to, I was I was telling my girlfriend the other day. I was like, yeah, I could talk your head off about the Punic Wars because for whatever reason, and like I'm sure you guys have heard that meme that every man thinks about the Roman Empire at least once a day, and those are some rookie numbers, some serious rookie numbers, right? Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, the chains just become more sophisticated. The chains just become more sophisticated. Yeah, it's a sad reality. But yeah, I like I want to be very honest with you. I don't I like more or less reading about history than listening to people on YouTube talk about it sometimes. Now there's some good channels actually out there that talk about history that I think are fantastic, right? But for the most part, they're I don't want to say biased, but it's like I don't want to say they got an agenda either. It's just it's very very watered down. But I would say extra history is pretty good. They are somewhat watered down, very watered down. If you look at the Ask Historians subreddit, you'll find a lot of inaccuracies that they have in their work. But yeah, it's pretty fun to listen to, pretty fun to read about. And I would say history has a lot of good fodder for stories. And a lot of really interesting moments. A lot of really interesting moments that I think. Okay, yeah, my drawing is not getting too great. It's kind of going down in quality. Maybe because I'm talking too much. Yep. But I would say the things that reading history is a lot like reading about gossip. So it's don't think of it as something boring. Like in school, they kind of intellectualize it, right? Some of those stories are just absolutely fucking hilarious. Okay, like because humans have always been right. The best stories are based in reality. That's true. Humans have always been kind of funny, like social creatures, right? And even in extremely terrible circumstances, people have found ways to find happiness, right? And some of that happiness, like, is just fun to read about. And you can't blame people for finding happiness in terrible circumstances, especially circumstances that aren't of their own making, right? Not that, people deserve bad circumstances regardless, but I just think that, like, you can. History's interesting because of that. Like, you can really find a lot of I don't know what to call it. Like a lot of interesting stories from people in history. This looks bad to me. Actually, no, it doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty decent. I take it back. I take it all back. All back. Yeah, history is gossip. It's gossip. Like, that's what I've been saying. Like, if you, the things that like, they've always been funny. People have always been ridiculously witty, ridiculously funny, saying all kinds of the weirdest, craziest shit. Like, you know, we have this idea that in the past they were super prude, and to some extent, I think compared to today, they certainly were, in some respects, right? You know, they still found ways to say crazy, stupid shit, and not only get away with it, but like have it glorified, you know? So, yeah, when you actually read up about history and you just kind of like learn about some of the people involved in it, you realize, oh, well, these people were pretty funny. They were interesting. You know, they were humans. Because at the end of the day, you're reading about humans. And I think it helps just kind of humanize what we read about. Because, you know, sometimes we feel very distant from history and the people who are part of it. And I'm like, no, these are people just like you and me. I think that one of the more frightening thoughts that occupies my mind quite often is that, like, everyone's life is equal in value to mine. And I feel like people don't realize how profound that is. Like, my personal moral system kind of starts from there, right? And that's a really scary thought, right? Like, everyone that you've seen throughout history, good or bad, they were people like you, right? I remember listening to this podcast about what it was like having children for the first time, right? And he mentioned something uncomfortable about having children, is that it's the first time you realize everyone has to had gone through, I guess, except our Lord Jesus Christ, right? But everyone has to have gone through this experience. Like, every parent ever, every child has to be born, right? And it's kind of it's a very universal moment. It's like you feel very at one with the world, I suppose. Okay, this is wrong. And I know why it's wrong. One with the world is strong. I don't think you feel like, quote unquote, one with the world, but you definitely feel more like connected, apparently. I wouldn't know, but I understand where that's coming from. I mean, if you're the main character, shoot, like, or you know, one time my sister said that to my mom, and she's like, "Jesus is the main character. Only Jesus is the main character." It's really, really funny. And I was like, "Yeah, I my sister was just like, it wasn't. I wasn't. I was joking, not being serious." And she went on a whole rant about how important Jesus is. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm sure you can guess what part of the world my mom's from just by me saying that. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys. I'm gonna say that periodically. I just want you guys to know that, and it might get annoying, but I am that grateful. What I'm not grateful for is my inability to draw decent legs or feet. I really did like these legs up here. I don't know if I redrew them. Actually, not redrew. If I still have them. He's a little thicker in this one. He's a little skinny. Skinny little kid here. His belt should be bigger, shouldn't it? What do you guys think? Bro, what is up with my layers? This is some of the worst layer management. Okay, one thing that I don't want you guys to take away from these sets of the stream is how to manage layers. Because my layer management is maniacal. Actually, it's genuinely awful. One thing I'm gonna do here, because one thing I like, one thing that you should do when you're drawing, right, is to simplify as much as you can, as quickly as you can. Because I've noticed something that people don't necessarily care for super realistic art styles. Like Lavender Town is not really realistic, right? What Lavender Town does good is very, very simplistic shapes and very recognizable shapes. And, you know, that is worth its weight in gold. I don't know if you guys have read Kaleidoscope recently. If anyone's caught up on it. Because I wanted to join the Discord server, but actually, no, sorry, I joined the Discord server and whew, Discord server is insane. It's one of the most, like, for a small Discord server like that to be as alive as it is. Oh my gosh. I'm just like lurking, right? Like, I don't say too much. I mean, I say a little bit, but like not too much, right? And it's like, nah, that shit is crazy. And you know the things that like it's one of those comics that I'll read and I'll be like not only this will go down as it's probably one of the best written comics in Webtoon, right? I would say it's definitely the best written comic in Webtoon that I've read personally, and because it feels very. It feels like the author knows a lot, or at least has studied a lot of people, I should say. Right? Like she's not, and that's one thing that is kind of like I don't want to say frustrating about Lore Olympus, or at least one of the complaints that I've heard about Lore Olympus. But is that Lore Olympus is kind of like it feels very much like the author's writing moments in time, and that's a particular way to write that some people like doing, and I understand why. But I don't care what no one says. It is that these characters are some of the most well written characters I've seen in any comic. And even like professional comic artists who are in bookstores don't write comics as well. I guess the author is a professional comic artist, which feels wild to me to say because like I always thought when I was younger, I always thought of comics as like something you find in a bookstore. But now that it's online, it just feels. It doesn't feel like, you know, the same. It doesn't feel like the same thing. But, you know, obviously it is, and in a lot of ways it's more convenient and readable. I also appreciate this audience, but sometimes I check in the streams, and people just be downright fucking mean in the comments. Like, about anatomy, or places I messed up. Places people messed up on. You guys are not like that. At least so far. We'll see if you guys decide to change your mind and dogpile on me. That would be. Actually, you know, I kind of would welcome it. I used to tell my partner, I was like, bro, one of these days, I just want to get like hate, but like not fair hate, like the kind of hate that you get when you get large enough, right? Because then that's when you realize, okay, well, I've gotten let them be meanie here. I will square up. Yes. I got one person, two people. I mean, I hope the amount of people who actually like this stream actually outnumber the mean people. I know they will, right? Like I said, I've been learning Japanese. I was listening to this lady who literally posts the most inoffensive content ever, right? And she posts like a little like conversation she has with other people in Japanese, and they use kind of like simpler Japanese that were able. Yeah, I agree. When you have haters, that means you're successful. I totally agree. And she has actual haters that don't like her, and I can't even imagine why. And the hate is not like, it's mean kinda, but it's not. It doesn't make much sense. It's stuff like your Japanese is terrible, which is really funny. It's like someone saying my English is terrible. I was like, I mean, I guess. Like, I'm a native speaker of English. It's just, I don't know why you're. Like, I'm not gonna feel insecure about my English. Such a weird thing to try to make someone feel insecure about. Especially a native speaker. Like, I can understand someone who's been learning and maybe they're not super confident. But yeah, there's a lot of like sometimes she gets hate comments, and she was telling us about like how they ruin her day. And I'm like, bro, if I get hate comments, that means I've made it. That's the way I see it. I'm really happy you guys are enjoying the stream. Um, I'm curious, outside of drawing, do you guys do anything? Other than, I guess some of you might go to school or go to work, but I don't care to talk about work anymore. I am off right now, and this is my break. Crochet. Yeah, yeah, she really does have to be thicker than that. Crochet, I dabble in animation. I have a feeling that you don't just dabble in animation, but that's just a hunch. Just a hunch. But I do dabble in animation too. I don't know. Have you guys tried Procreate Dreams? And sewing? Nice. My grandmother was a seamstress. Oh man. And my sister's also trying to get into it herself. She's quite. I don't know if she's good or not. She does hair in college now, and apparently she's really good. She's also she's also made a little bit of a business doing. No, dabble is the right word. LMAO. Bro, that emoji is so fucking funny to me. Just the character standing there. Oh yeah. I don't know if I should like tell you guys what my sister does for her business, but she like basically her friends want to know about a guy, right? Like they want to date a guy, but they need to know about the guy first, right? For safety reasons. I'm sure you guys understand. And she'll do research on them. And one time, she did research on this guy that her friend was going to meet, and she found out everything about him, including like his mom had tragically died in a firefight between a criminal and the police, right? And his dad was like, um, you know, got a divorce from his ex-wife and like experienced domestic violence at the hands of his ex-wife, right? Whole thing. Guy has like a lot of trauma, right? And it was really sad, right? And the crazy part is that she told her sister all like there's news clippings, right? She told her friend about all this stuff, right? And exactly the next day, the friend got on the phone with him and he spilled out all of this stuff word for word, and the friend had to mute it because she was like, I can't believe I know all of this already. Terrible. She did it right in front of my sister. I was like, you really can find any information about anybody online. It is insane. Yeah, she's an off-brand Fed agent. It's crazy. I told her you should charge for that. She's like, and she took my advice. She charged $10 last time. I'm like, bro, you think that's enough? She's like, it's my friend. I only charge $10. But now she's doing that, like hustling and making money. Looking up into people, kind of, I guess, internet stalking. I don't know. I wouldn't call it that. I think it's like a safety thing, but that's just me. I know when, especially in college, you kind of have to keep yourself safe. There's a lot of not so great people and men out there, right? And I don't want my sister falling into anything. I mean, she's being able to find out, like, some of the people that our friends are looking to date have, like, criminal convictions, and she's been able to find that out, like, online. She's like, yeah, don't date this guy. He's been to jail. And that to me is just crazy. I was like, oof. Say the wrong thing and they will find you, right? Yes, sir, they will certainly find you. They're always on the prowl. What do you guys think so far? I like him. They do look like they could be in the same world, though. What do you guys think so far? How long have I been streaming? 2 hours and 30 minutes? Oh my gosh. Bro, it feels like no time has passed. That's crazy. That is so interesting to me. He's wearing a shirt. Should I put his hands on his hips? I like putting hands on hips, personally. But I don't know if I should here. Like, it could just go down. The only thing I have a problem with, like, doing this is that they can look kind of... I don't know. I don't really particularly love the way it looks there, but... I mean, maybe I should. One thing I will say I'm grateful, like, in life for is that I feel like I've met a lot of really cool people since I've left home. And I listen to other people's kind of horror stories when they leave home and have to interact with people outside of their family. And they're always kind of dark. And I just haven't had that bad of an experience so far. Now, it could change. But I'm very grateful for, like, how cool the people... Like, I met this guy the other day, and we just hit it off because, like, we listen to kind of the same music. He also plays guitar, which is something I do recreationally. But he's, like, he was just a cool guy to listen to and talk to, and he works at the cafeteria in my work, in my job. I just like talking to him. Like, he's such an interesting dude. He's not... Like, sometimes you talk to people at work, and it's like, even if they're not people you directly work with, there's always the feeling of, like, you can't really form a genuine connection. And a lot of people I work with, like, they're not uninteresting per se, but they're kind of, their interests don't really align with mine. Like, sometimes if you ask them, they're like, oh, what do you do on the weekends? Right? A lot of them are like, oh, and they do something, and not to shame, like, this is not say doing this is bad, right? But, like, they don't really have any hobbies outside of, like, watching TVs and movies, and they just watch TV, movies, and work. And that's fine. If that's your life, I'm not shaming that, obviously. I just want you guys to know that. But, you know, I do like I like a lot of I'm really passionate about other things outside of work, and it's very rare to find someone who is that way as well. Or like they party a lot, and I'm not a partier. I think I learned in college that I'm not big on partying. Yeah. LMAO, do something else. That's really funny. No, I'm not shaming them. I think it's okay. It's generally okay. But at the same time, I just feel like, you know, I do a lot of things. Like I have a lot of kind of passions outside of work. In fact, I would say work is like in terms of things that I actually do that feel like they are meaningful, work is at the bottom of that list. Like I feel like this is more meaningful than work, and I don't even get paid for this, right? And that's kind of like one of those things that I'm not trying to say that I am like I'm very grateful for my job, obviously, but there is a sense that like I could be doing something a lot more meaningful with my time. I'm sure you guys have maybe felt that in some area of your life. I assume it's a common feeling. Yeah, I assume it's a common feeling. LMA, I'm too nice. Yeah, I'm way too polite. Bro, I was talking to my partner's from like the East Coast, right? Where she's from, her family is like really direct and blunt about everything. I'm from the South, right? So I feel like in the South, especially where I grew up, there's a lot of reading in between the lines you have to do to kind of see whether someone agrees with you or not, or you can actually get somewhere with someone that you're talking to, right? And that was one of the sticking parts in our relationship because like there were times in which I was like, okay, how do you not understand that I don't want to do this, right? Or I don't like this, or I don't like XYZ thing, right? And she's like, I don't understand why you don't just communicate with me directly. I'm like, do I have to, like, in my mind, I'm like, do I have to spell everything out, right? But then I realize, okay, one, not everyone's from the same culture as you. Because to me, it just feels like a universal thing. But two, it is actually a lot better to speak more directly in general than it is to kind of assume the other person knows how you feel or what you're talking about. And compound this, like, a lot of men struggle with actually saying how they feel about certain things. And that can manifest itself. Like, I'm not an angry person, but I do kind of I can get a little passive aggressive. And then when I get frustrated, I just kind of close down. Like, I don't talk about what it is. And yeah, it's kind of like it's very different than how my partner grew up, clearly. But she is the last child. I'm the first. So like I was telling my friend, I was telling her the other day, I was like, I think it's a last child thing because you get to be so just open and whimsical, especially in like immigrant families, bro. Like if you're the last child, like my youngest sister is the last one, and she's just so much more outgoing and whimsical. And it's like clear my parents went easy on her. And honestly, she's done very well. I'm not gonna say she hasn't. But yeah. Um Other than that, I think we're getting to the point where I might be done with this character design. Someone's texting me? Oh, okay. Yeah, someone's texting me. I am about to be done because the character is really pretty much done at this point. let's take out all the under sketches. And yeah, that's his arms. One of these days, I'll learn how to sculpt, and when I do, I'll be unstoppable. Just want you guys to know that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do y'all think? Come on. I want opinions. I want people to tell me what they think of the characters. Oh my gosh, I appreciate it, Elysian. Elysian, I really, really appreciate it. I loved drawing him. Oh my god, I actually think he came out really nicely. I actually really like the smaller chest. Like the smaller chest, like originally he had kind of a bigger, thick chest, right? But I think it fits him a lot better. I am so happy you guys gave me opinions, and you know, you guys are the real MVP. I really appreciate all the advice. I think they look so good. It looks like brother and sister, right? Of course, the overalls are adorable. They are adorable, aren't they? Aren't they adorable? Oh, I can't wait to clean this up. Oh man, this is gonna be so much fun. Anyway, I mean, at this point, I might just stream every single time I touch my tablet because this is just too much fun. And I would not have gotten all this work done, at least especially to this quality, without you guys. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think that might be the end of the stream for today. We'll color them later. There's one more character that I need to draw out. So we'll probably cover that character later. I'll see if I can get a couple references and actually be prepared this time. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Goodbye.